What is going on, Panthers Nation? Happy Tuesday. It's been a busy, short week for the Carolina Panthers, and we've got a lot to talk about. Recording this directly from the truck, so not my normal setup, as you can see, but felt important to get what I'll call an emergency episode out the door, because quite a few things have happened since Sunday. We'll start with number one, which is the injury news for Derrick Brown. Tough time for the Carolina Panthers. Literally adding insult to injury is an injury for the Carolina Panthers, as it's believed that he has a torn meniscus. The severity of that injury is TBD. They had an evaluation. They're going to get a second evaluation now, I guess in the coming days. Could be season ending, could be a few weeks. We don't really know. If it sounds like it's a tear, though, from what Dave Canales said. So I would expect Derrick Brown to miss significant time. With that news, you have Charles Harris, a veteran who was just signed a defensive end, hopefully to help in the absence of Brown. It sounds like, either way, Brown's going to be missing some time, and we need help. Unfortunately, I don't know how much help he's going to bring. I think he's got, 16 career sacks, 16 and a half, something like that. I saw it reported. I don't know that he's going to be the energy, lifeblood that this team needs to figure things out on the defensive side of the ball. That's a totally different conversation, but it stinks for Derrick Brown, man. Dude gets paid, went all off season and into the preseason. It felt like he was the leader of that defense. I know Sunday wasn't great. We get out there, and I guess he didn't even know, or they don't know when the injury occurred, and neither does he. He played through it. I guess adrenaline was just pumping, and then he got home and felt the pain. So you have that news, and here we are, and I know there's been a lot of talk about Bryce Young. I went back and watched the tape last night. And, hey, one, if you're not following me on X, that is where we're going to have the tape and film breakdowns during the season directly on there, only because I pulled the content off of YouTube. So I can't, reshare it on there, copyright, all that. Try to make it easy. So directly on X, you can watch as we go through some of the film. And we went through it last night. I got to tell you, the defense was as bad as we thought it was. There was one play where Kamara probably didn't get touched until 20 yards downfield from where he was in the backfield. So it was at least 15, 16, 17 yards beyond the line of scrimmage before he is touched and pushed out of bounds. It looked like a punt return almost. The way that they set this thing up, it was a wall. And it was just a regular run play, like a pitch sweep outside. Saints dominated big time. And I've seen a lot of some folks saying, oh man, this was a blip. The Panthers beat themselves. Sure, the Panthers made mistakes, but they didn't just beat themselves. The Saints dominated every single aspect of this game. Every single aspect they dominated. They shouldn't be taken lightly. They were a 9-8 football team last year, so I'm not really here for excuses. And when we talk about excuses at this point, I know there's going to be a lot of talk about Bryce Young. And I think he should still continue to play, at least for the next few games. But there is a point, at some point in this year, if this thing does not get better, you really have to start thinking about Plummer. You have to think about Andy Dalton. I don't care about this evaluation. We've had enough sample size of this quarterback. And I hope he proves us wrong. To this point, I hope this was not him. And we then go out here and get to see who he is. And he shows us he can put up 4 or 5 touchdowns. But I tweeted this too, man. We have a fan base that is living off of blips of success. You go back and look at the top moments from this team over the last year and a half. It's been a Green Bay loss. It's not even a win. They lost the game. No, not everything is on Bryce Young, but you have a Green Bay loss, maybe a Houston Texans win. That might as well be our Super Bowl. A preseason drive, a joint practice with the Jets, and a win over the Falcons. And our fan base is satisfied with letting this thing develop. Sure, Dave Canales needs time. Sure, Bryce Young needs a little more time, maybe. We got to start winning some games. I don't care how we do it and what we need to do to get there. Bryce Young, if he doesn't start showing improvement, this could be it. And it's hard to imagine after 2 years, which is what it would be, Panthers would move on. But the possibility is absolutely there. I don't know. I thought about this too the other day. If Bryce Young had been, let's say second round pick, third, anything really second and beyond at this point, I don't know how many teams are going to let this ride. Like, if you see this kind of performance, how often are you going to keep trotting this guy out there? It's because he's the #1 overall pick. He has that pedigree that comes with him. And so it's hard to pull the plug and the money and everything else. And like, nobody wants him to fail. Even if this thing pans out, and hopefully it does, but if we continue to see mediocre play, I would expect the Panthers to draft a quarterback a little bit higher next year, possibly, and or bring in an experienced veteran. You've got to do something to apply pressure. Dave Canales likes to talk about applying pressure to every position. The one position group that didn't have pressure applied to it was quarterback, which I don't blame him. You wanted to see Bryce Young. You had expectations that Bryce Young was going to be that dude. It's just been a rough start, man. The mistakes that we see from him, from Bryce in particular, I hope it improves, man. I really do want to see him succeed. But we are running out of time here, folks, and it's tough. Anyways, folks, we'll keep you updated. We got Chargers coming up, so we'll have tons of content coming out for the Chargers. And until then, y'all have a good one.